this movie, it still makes me cry. Like, unfortunately, we all know at least someone.
I said to her, I don't have to be in the movie. I don't have to play Barbie or be in the movie in any capacity. I'm happy just to produce.
Blake Lively breaks her silence after Margot Robbie exposes her attempt to take over Barbie. And it's messier than anyone expected.
I'm not the type of actor who can act without producing. You can't just put me in any clothes and give me any words and have me step in.
What started as a dream role turned into a behind-the-scenes battle for control. Blake didn't just want to play Barbie. She wanted to run the show. But Margot, who wasn't just the star but the producer, wasn't about to let that happen. Now insiders are leaking the full story. From Blake's creative demands, to Margot's quiet shutdown, to the fallout that's still echoing through Hollywood. And it ends with us. That drama was just the beginning.
I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character.
When Barbie casting began, Blake Lively wasn't just in the mix. She was a serious contender. It made sense. She had history with America Ferrera from The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, a film that perfectly aligned with Barbie's nostalgic girl power vibe. And her public image, all sunshine, glamour, and designer heels, basically Barbie in real life. Blake had long held that it girl status, effortlessly stylish, camera-ready, and one of Hollywood's most marketable faces. From Gossip Girl to the red carpet, she'd built a brand that was bold, blonde, and bankable. But Blake didn't just want to show up in a supporting role. She wasn't aiming to be one Barbie among many. She wanted more. Insiders say that from the start, Blake came to the table looking for creative input, not just a character. She was reportedly interested in shaping her Barbie into something bigger, something that stood out from the rest. And that's where things started to unravel. Because Barbie wasn't built to spotlight one star. It was a true ensemble. But Blake? She was already trying to rewrite the rules. According to insiders, Blake came to the table with her own ideas. Lots of them. She didn't want to just play a character. She wanted authorship. She wanted creative say in how her Barbie was written, styled, and portrayed. While most of the cast embraced Greta Gerwig's feminist ensemble vision, a colorful celebration of femininity in all forms, Blake reportedly had her own agenda. She wanted her character to stand out. She wanted her Barbie to mean something more. In her own words, Blake has said she doesn't feel fulfilled just standing on a pink sticker and saying her lines. She wants to help shape the story, to influence the costume design, writing, and character development. But there's a fine line between collaboration and control. And that's where things got tense. Here's what most people forget. Margot Robbie wasn't just playing Barbie. She was producing the entire film. Through her company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, she had creative control, financial stake, and final say. This wasn't just another acting gig. This was her project, one she'd been quietly developing and protecting for years. And when Blake Lively started pushing for more control, Margot didn't hesitate. Sources close to the production say Blake's demands for a bigger role and creative input didn't sit well with Margot or her team. While most actresses signed on fully aligned with Greta Gerwig's vision, eager to be part of something collaborative, subversive, here's the wild part. Barbie came out, broke the internet, dominated the box office, sparked a cultural movement, and not once did anyone say, wait, wasn't Blake Lively supposed to be in this? Not a single headline, not a single fan theory. Total silence. And that silence said everything. The cast was a dream lineup. Issa Rae, Hari Nef, Kate McKinnon, Dua Lipa, Alexandra Shipp, and more. Each actress brought something bold and unexpected to the table. Whether it was comedy, style, edge, or emotion, they delivered. Every Barbie felt intentional, like they belonged, and more importantly, like they wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves. There was no void, no missing piece in the Barbie dream house, just a fully realized world that worked perfectly without Blake. And that, in the end, is the quiet truth Margot Robbie understood from the beginning. Blake Lively wasn't essential to Barbie. Not because she lacked talent or star power, but because she wasn't willing to play as part of a team. Margot didn't need to blacklist her. She didn't need to drag her name or stir up drama. She just closed the door. And when the movie hit theaters and no one noticed Blake was gone, that was the loudest answer of all. If the Barbie situation sounded like a one-time thing, it wasn't. Because just months later, Blake Lively found herself at the center of another high-profile project and another behind-the-scenes controversy. This time, it was It Ends With Us. the film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's wildly popular novel. A passionate fan base, a built-in audience, a romantic drama with serious emotional depth. On paper, this was supposed to be a huge win for Blake. She landed the lead role, playing a complex character fans had been speculating about for years. And to make things even more promising, she was paired with Justin Baldoni, both director and co-star, who had a clear, heartfelt vision for the story. But once again, that vision didn't last long. According to multiple insiders, everything changed after Blake stepped in. She allegedly began suggesting large-scale script rewrites, not just tweaking dialogue, but restructuring key emotional beats and even challenging the tone of the entire story. What began as collaboration quickly turned into control. She reportedly wanted the narrative to revolve more heavily around her interpretation of the character, shifting the emotional weight, altering pivotal moments, and questioning directorial choices. And while creative input is part of any process, sources say Blake's suggestions weren't minor. They fundamentally changed the direction of the film. Some crew members described the energy on set as tense. Others called it completely chaotic. What was once a heartfelt, streamlined production started to feel like a tug of war. And the worst part? It didn't stay confined to creative disagreements. Behind-the-scenes tension reportedly boiled over into legal issues, including disputes over creative control, contracts, and production rights, with some still unresolved. What should have been a career highlight for everyone involved started unraveling before the film even hit theaters. For Justin Baldoni, who had nurtured the project from day one, it felt like the story was no longer his to tell. And for Blake Lively, it marked the second time in less than a year that her presence on a project turned from buzzworthy to burdensome. It wasn't just a pattern, it was a reputation in the making. And this is where the dominoes really start falling. Because Margot Robbie wasn't the only one who quietly stepped back from Blake Lively. As more projects began surfacing, so did the pattern. And Hollywood insiders started taking notice. Slowly, but unmistakably, people who once stood beside Blake began putting distance between themselves and her growing shadow. The most glaring example? Anna Kendrick. The two co-starred in A Simple Favor, a slick, stylish thriller that quickly became a cult hit. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable. Quirky, sharp, magnetic. Off-screen, their dynamic was a little more complicated. At the time, fans praised their pairing. The press ran with the narrative of unexpected besties. But when a sequel was greenlit, things took a noticeable turn. According to multiple sources, Anna specifically requested to limit joint appearances with Blake during the sequel's promotional tour. No joint interviews, no shared panels, not even a photo op unless it was absolutely required. At red carpets, Anna's posture shifted. Her smiles looked stiff. Her energy felt off. When asked about working with Blake again, her responses were short, controlled, almost too rehearsed. There was no warmth, no sisterhood, just professional courtesy, and not an ounce more. Insiders say Anna wasn't interested in stepping back into the Blake Lively spotlight, not because of jealousy, but because of what came with it. The behind-the-scenes tension, the creative clashing, the risk of being dragged into a narrative that wasn't hers to manage. And then there's America Ferrera. Once thought to be a real-life friend and close co-star from the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, America and Blake were part of a cultural touchstone, a film that helped define a generation of young women. For years, they were seen as bonded, part of that rare Hollywood friendship that actually lasted. But lately, nothing. No posts, no mentions, no nostalgic tributes during Barbie press runs. Despite America being one of the breakout voices of that film, and Blake once being a fan-favorite candidate for a role in it. And let's be honest, America Ferrera is the kind of person who shows up for people. She celebrates other women loudly. She talks about friendships with heart. The fact that she's remained completely silent on Blake for years isn't just an oversight. It's intentional. The silence is deafening. In a town built on collaboration and reputation, being subtly iced out is more damaging than any tabloid headline. Blake isn't being publicly canceled. She's being quietly removed. From rooms, from sets, from conversations. No drama, no statements, just locked doors. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because in Hollywood, when people stop mentioning your name, that's when you should really start to worry. At the heart of all this is a simple truth. Margot Robbie and Blake Lively may operate in the same Hollywood circles, but they play the game in completely different ways. Margot has spent the past few years building something bigger than just a career. She's building an empire. Through her production company, Lucky Chap Entertainment, she's quietly become one of the most powerful women in the industry. But here's the key difference. She doesn't chase power by demanding it. She earns it by creating it. She backs visionary directors. She uplifts ensemble casts. She produces stories that speak to something bigger than herself, and then steps back to let others shine. Think about Promising Young Woman. Think about Barbie. She didn't just attach her name. She made those films happen, and she did it without ever making herself the center of the narrative. Blake, on the other hand, seems to take a different approach. While she's undeniably talented, stylish, and successful, her pattern is becoming harder to ignore. Instead of building projects from the ground up, she often inserts herself into established productions and then tries to reshape them. Instead of trusting the directors and creators she works with, she reportedly pushes for more say, more control, more spotlight. With Barbie, she tried to elevate her role before cameras even rolled. With It Ends With Us, she allegedly altered the direction of the film and created friction with its director. And according to multiple insiders, that need for authorship, that drive to steer the ship even when she wasn't meant to, keeps putting her at odds with the very people who once wanted to work with her. What Margot understands, and what Blake seems to resist, is that true power in Hollywood doesn't come from fighting for the loudest voice in the room. It comes from creating the room, setting the tone, and earning trust. Margot isn't just a movie star. She's a collaborator, a builder, a force behind the scenes who knows how to rally people, not divide them. Blake, for all her charm and ambition, may not have learned that lesson yet. And in a business where reputation spreads faster than any press release, that difference is everything. So, what does this all mean? It means Blake Lively didn't just lose a role in Barbie. She lost the chance to be part of a global phenomenon, a billion-dollar blockbuster that's now etched into pop culture history. She also lost goodwill, because as more people hear these behind-the-scenes stories, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Blake's constant push for control is starting to alienate the very people she needs on her side. Meanwhile, Margot Robbie keeps rising, not just as a performer, but as a trusted power player who knows when to lead and when to step back. And maybe that's the real difference. Blake Lively wants power. Margot Robbie earns it. So now the question becomes, will Blake learn from these mistakes and start working with the system instead of against it? Or will more Hollywood insiders follow Margot's lead and quietly shut the door? At this point, it looks like the decision's already been made.